In this video on Dragon's Dogma 2, I'm going to show you the best settings to change to make your game feel better. Now, while in this video, I want to give you the perfect settings to make your FPS higher. It's honestly an uphill battle. Even with a 4080 RTX, I struggle to even get close to 60 FPS. And let's not even talk about going into Vernworth because that's like below 30 FPS. But the settings I am going to show you are things that are going to make your gameplay just feel better. So if we go ahead and we go to the system and we go to options, we'll start with the camera. Now, if you're using a controller like I am, you're probably going to want to bump up the camera speed, the aiming camera speed, and maybe even the projectile aiming speed, depending on like what vocation you're playing. Because the aiming can be incredibly slow. I know especially for Mage, it feels really slow. You can also change the camera distance. By default, I think it's set to the most zoomed in one. So it's like you're playing directly like almost over the top of your head, but you can increase this to go like this. Just keep in mind that the further you go out, the more, like of the world that it has to render, which makes your game have lower FPS in general. I want the distance and I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of the FPS, so I only went half of the way with the camera distance. And that's all I've changed for camera, but if we go into game settings, the biggest thing I want to change here is the mini-map rotation. Set this to off. Trust me, it just makes traveling in this world a whole lot more convenient. I don't know why it's on by default. Basically, it leaves your mini-map facing north, no matter where you're turning, so that you can at least figure out where you are, because I feel like it's so much more confusing when the map rotates the entire time. And if you are at all interested in my graphic settings, what you're seeing in here, so in my graphic settings, I have a 240 Hz refresh rate. This is limited to your monitor. Maximum frame rate set to 120. I don't have any of these things on because I struggle to get them to make the game look clear. For some reason, every single one of these makes my game look blurry and just not nice to look at. So instead, I'm using the progressive rendering mode over here with the image quality set to high. I have anti-aliasing set to TAA. And then for all my other settings, you can see them on the screen here. The big ones of note are the motion blur is turned off. Depth of field is turned off because this also adds like a blur. I don't like the blurs. It's a bit annoying. Lens flare, I've turned this off because it's very, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Lens distortion, I've turned off. And everything else is pretty much almost on default on high. And those are pretty much the best settings I can recommend you change now to just get a more convenient gameplay for how you want to play. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and thanks for watching.